Hello and welcome to the Spokane County Board of Commissioners 2 o'clock consent agenda meeting. It is now 2:03 and we are starting our meeting. Let the record reflect that all 3 commissioners are present, as well as our executive management team. And on today's agenda, we will be taking item number 4E and 4F separately for presentation. Are my fellow commissioners okay with having that presentation prior to the motion?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine too.
Okay. Then we will take a presentation from Ashley Cameron and Josh Grote on item number 4E and F. 4E is authorize the execution of collective bargaining agreement with the Deputy Sheriff's Association, and 4F is to authorize the execution of a collective bargaining agreement with the Lieutenants and Captains Association. Okay, Ashley, I'll let you.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner. Well, thanks for having us here today to provide an update on some of our negotiations. Josh Grote, who has been actively involved in negotiating on behalf of the county, is here with us today to present a brief summary of those contracts. So Josh, if you would like to present, please. And Josh, you are muted. Looks like he may be having technical difficulties. I'm going to ping him on Teams and see if he can hear us.
Sorry, yes, I can hear you. I didn't realize my speakers were turned down.
So yes, if Josh, you would like to present those contracts today, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, sorry about the delay, commissioners. I apologize for that. So shortly before Christmas, we reached an agreement with both our Deputy Sheriff's Association and Lieutenants and Captains Association on new 3-year deals. These 3-year agreements were negotiated in public over the course of the last few months in 2021. I think Ron has the slides I have prepared for the session. So the first one I will speak to is our Deputies and Sergeants Association, the DSA. Like I stated, they were this one was a 3-year agreement that runs from January 1st of 2022 through December 31st of 2024. There were agreement or wage increases in 2022, 2023, and 2024. And while those COLAs may seem small compared to previously agreed upon COLAs, additional money was spent in building out the steps for retention and recruitment of additional staff members to the department. Some of the benefits that were added to this contract was the inclusion of Juneteenth as a personal holiday and deferred compensation. That will begin July 1st of 2022. So the total approximate cost of the 3-year agreement for the DSA is approximately $6 million. Of that, the county will be liable for approximately $3.5 million, with the rest of the cost of the 3-year agreement being passed on to the other entities that the Sheriff's Department contracts with. Please note that some of these costs may be lower based on how much or how many of the DSA members utilize the 457. And we can move on to the next slide. So some of the other major changes that took place in this contract is we now have more flexibility to make changes to our health, dental, and vision insurance during the term of this contract. This is consistent with the other contracts we have negotiated over the last year. This just gives us increased flexibility that we have not had as a county to do with these unions. We have the ability to introduce a normal payroll system during the middle of this contract. And the DSA has agreed to wear body cameras effective January 1st of this year. The other big items that we were able to win was increased flexibility in scheduling, the removal of day per day, and lowering of the vacation bank caps from 480 hours to 320 hours, and the removal of Kelly days. That will help increase the staffing, which will help provide more deputies on the road throughout the county during the course of the year. Do any of the commissioners have any questions regarding the changes in the DSA contract?
I'm not seeing any questions come from them, so no, thank you very much.
And commissioners, very quickly, I'd like to point out that there were big wins on both sides of this contract. We're very excited to see a much more competitive model for our DSA group as we look at wages both now and into future years as they continue on their career with us here at Spokane County. So we're very excited to be able to move forward with them, providing a great package as always, but still enabling us to be more flexible and nimble as we continue to work in this ever-changing environment.
Thank you, Ashley. With no other questions, I'll move on to the explanation of the Lieutenants and Captains Association agreement. And I think Ron has those slides as well. Yep. So once again, the Lieutenants and Captains Association agreed to a 3-year agreement, January 1st, 2022 through December 31st of 2024 to match the DSA. The wage increases were driven by the DSA contract. They also were given or agreed to add Juneteenth and the deferred comp beginning July 1st of 2022. Next slide. So the overall cost to this contract is approximately $665,000. Once again, the county's liability is approximately $400,000, and the additional costs or the other costs will be passed on to the additional entities that the Sheriff Department contracts with throughout Spokane County. Same assumption that there is 100% utilization on the 457 match. So the cost may be lower if not all members participate in this match. Next slide. So similar to the DSA, we were able to come to an agreement with the LCA on more flexible language in our health, dental, and vision insurance that allows us to make changes to the plans during midlife of the contract. Same with DSA, we're able to introduce the normal payroll system. They also agreed to wear body cameras effective January 1st, 2022. We have increased scheduling flexibility, removed day for day with them as well. Similar to the DSA, we lowered their vacation bank caps to 320 hours. And then one other side note is that we removed longevity and on-call pays from this group and added it into their base pay. And so those are the substantial changes to this particular agreement. Do any of the commissioners have any questions regarding this particular agreement?
I would look to my other commissioners, seeing none. I think we're good. Thank you very much. So this second presentation was for item number 4F on today's agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the presentation and for the overview of those negotiations that were done in public. Appreciate all your efforts and hard work to make that happen. So thank you. So with that, oh, sorry, Josh.
I was just saying thank you.
So with that, I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I would move that we approve items 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all the sub items appearing in today's agenda.
I will second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve items number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all sub items on today's agenda. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously, 3 to 0. Thank you. So that takes care of our consent agenda for today. We will get everything signed and off to my fellow commissioners. So with that, we had a couple of miscellaneous items that we were going to take this afternoon. So I will look to Scott Simmons for those miscellaneous items.
Yes, thanks, Commissioner Keeney. The 8th Ave building that we discussed briefly earlier today, the team did get back a revised addendum that was requested. It essentially extends the feasibility period on the 8th Ave purchase and sale agreement from today, the 18th of January, to February 14th to allow for the purchaser to continue their lease negotiations with the Spokane Regional Health District. That would be the only change to that.
Okay. And is there any questions or concerns from my fellow commissioners on that topic?
So Scott, do you need a motion to accept the amendment to the contract?
I don't believe so, Commissioner French. The resolution that was previously passed by the board allows for the board chair to sign any subsequent addendums to this. We will be there, as I mentioned earlier today, this is the proverbial kind of face off, if you will. There's the buyers who need to do TIs on the 8th Ave property. We need to be vacated in order for them to wrap up their feasibility study. As Tony Hall had mentioned earlier, we do have some pretty good progress being made on one of the prospective leased locations that we would be moving the CARES division to. And what we're going to be recommending next week is that the Board of County Commissioners approve a lease agreement so that we can get the TIs underway for the building that our CARES group will be leasing, and that we can start to get clarity on when we will vacate the building. It is just that proverbial chicken and the egg here. One of us has got to do something first. Ideally, if we're out of the building, then it gives the buyer the best chance of doing their tenant improvements and negotiating the lease. So that'll be coming forth next week, I anticipate, for your consideration. And then we'll be able to share with you all of the timing of what the vacancy looks like for our team out of the 8th Ave building, and give some better clarity and certainty for the buyer as well. So,
Mr. Simmons, I realize the chair has the authority to sign any extensions, but I don't think the chair can unilaterally approve any extensions. I think that has to be an action of the board, because it's changing a contract.
I'll let one of our attorneys maybe weigh in on that one, because I don't have the resolution in front of me.
And I don't either, and I just see simply easier to go ahead and take it by way of an action to just a clerk with a clerk minute or something like that. Mr. Misha, I see you're here. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman, I would agree. I would prefer to have a motion in this case, so there's no question whatsoever. And I would like the motion, possibly board members, to include this addendum as well as other addendums that may be necessary to move this project forward. Sometimes the addendum is pretty de minimis, and if we have to wait for the board to meet, we miss the appropriate window. So I would ask that the motion authorize the chairman to sign this addendum as presented by Mr. Simmons, as well as future addendums subject to review by legal counsel.
So I would make that motion subject to limiting the addendums to nothing material or substantive in the way of the transaction, So, but I would make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. And Jim, I'm going to have you restate that for the clerk.
Fine, Madam Chair. The motion would be to authorize the chairman to sign the present addendum as well as other addendums as approved by legal counsel, so long as the addendums don't make any material changes in the document itself to include increasing any costs associated therewith.
Thank you, Mr. Amicio. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
So I do believe that the in-person public meeting discussion has been moved to this afternoon. Mr. McLean, can you speak to that and discuss?
Sure. I think generally I was asked if we could, I think in conjunction with what we're doing with the remodel of the building, where the proclamation is and where we currently exist, or where we are with respect to the governor's proclamation and what we can do. I believe we were going to discuss my advice relative to that though in executive session.
Correct.
Okay.
So
probably 10 minutes at most.
Okay. So we have that item that will be in executive session. Commissioner French, you had a couple of miscellaneous items.
I did. One of them staff is still working on, and that relates to the potential loan to the Public Facilities District. And then the other one is an executive session item, but I'd prefer to have Mr. Simmons present on that so it can wait until next Monday.
With respect to that loan, I wouldn't mind maybe 5 minutes. Mr. Sims, I sent you a message on that. I don't know if you want to do 5 or 10 minutes on that. I can give a brief update with our current legal risks and our direction we're going in an executive session this afternoon, if you'd like.
And what would you do that under, Mark?
Well, it's legal advice, so I can give my legal advice in executive session.
Yeah, I think that would be fine if that's what the commissioners would like.
Yeah.
Then we can deal with my my issue as well in the executive session this afternoon.
And the purpose of your executive session, Commissioner French?
Is the same as I think Mark and Scott will be talking about.
On the PFD loan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so how long do we need in that executive session?
I can't imagine mine would take more than 5 minutes. And I gave 10 just to answer questions.
Okay, and so I'm sorry, I just want to make it clear. So Mark, for yours, are we talking about your portion of the PFD loan?
Right.
Okay, 10 minutes for that. I know we've got 10 minutes for the public meeting discussion. And Commissioner French, how long do you think in addition to the 10 minutes for the PFD loan?
I'll share the 10 minutes with Mark.
Okay. So we just have those two items that we're going to be going into executive session for a total of 20 minutes. And do we expect any action to be taken after those?
I don't think we anticipate any action, and I would have put those under both the as discussed and pending litigation or pending legal action.
Pending legal action, okay. And so with that, is there any other miscellaneous items before we go into executive session? Because then we will adjourn out of executive session.
And then the Board of Health timeline for the dates.
Oh, yes, we can. I do have one more. Josh?
That's what I was going to ask about. So are we meeting Friday or Saturday to do the interviews?
So Mayor Freeman is going to be leaving to go out of town, and he is not available this weekend for that. So I believe I have been told that if we choose to move forward without him, then he will tender his resignation to the Board of Health.
So this means we will be canceling the January Board of Health meeting then? That's
unless the two of you would like to move forward, then we will need to cancel the January Board of Health meeting.
These will be public meetings. These will be recorded, won't they?
I would assume so.
I mean, was he at all willing to be flexible? I mean, he can watch the recording of the meetings. I mean, we can hold off on a vote on who we're appointing based on, you know, his recommendation after the fact. I don't know. I think it sends kind of a bad image to the community. I mean, we haven't had a Board of Health meeting in going on 2 months now. I mean, the last one was at the beginning of March, or I mean, not March. I'm sorry, the beginning of December, and now we're gonna. I mean, this puts us at the end of February for the next regularly scheduled meeting. Correct?
That would be correct.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that sends a good message, but I mean, I don't know. That's unfortunate that Mayor Freeman would kind of put an ultimatum like that he will resign. I don't know, that's very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. I think he is, I can't speak for him, but I think as we saw at the Board of Health meeting that the decisions were to add additional candidates that he was wanting to interview. And so I think he wants to be there to do that interview process.
Mm-hmm.
So we will, Mr. French, I don't know if you have a comment.
Yeah, I'll weigh in. I mean, Mayor Freeman made it pretty clear when we were going through and generating the list that he had commitments that he had to honor and stuff. And so I was hoping we would be able to put the meetings together before his other commitments, and that not being the case, and the fact that he had individuals that he nominated that I'm sure that he wants to speak to during the interview process, and now he won't have that opportunity as much as it's uncomfortable to delay the board meeting for another month. I think to move forward without Mayor Freeman's input into the process would be not only unfortunate, but leave us in a more difficult situation and stuff. So I'm happy to defer to a schedule that allows all four of us to be there.
Okay, thank you. Then we will look to find a time that it's all four of us plus our attorney. I mean, we've got one more person, you know, to try to get, you know, into that calendar mix, because we do need the attorney for the Board of Health to be there at that point in time too. So we will work with Anne to try to get these scheduled then as soon as possible. So if you can make sure all your calendars are up to date, and we try to get this taken care of. And even if we need to do it on a Monday or Tuesday, you know, we'll look to that and adjust our commissioner schedule to try to accommodate if you're all okay with that. Okay, seeing no other comments, I'm gonna just, we'll work to get that scheduled. And I do agree, it's sad that we can't have our January meeting. I think we'll be okay. We will get back to meetings then in February and move forward. Okay, so with that, then we are gonna head into executive session for 20 minutes for the purpose of pending and potential litigation on 2 items. It is now 2:28. All 3 commissioners will be present, our executive management team. I don't believe there's anybody else that will be in those executive sessions beyond that.
Legal counsel.
Legal counsel, yep.
And legal counsel, sorry. Thank you. Thank you for that, Mark. And we do not anticipate coming out and having any decisions, so we will adjourn after our 20 minutes in executive session. Okay, thank you.